There's a drinking glass sitting on my kitchen windowsill right now with about an inch of water in it and 6 little white stubs standing up in a row like fence posts. Those stubs are the root ends off a bunch of green onions I chopped up for my scrambled eggs on Tuesday morning. Today is Saturday. In 4 days, those throwaway ends have pushed up bright green shoots taller than my thumb, and by next weekend, I will be snipping fresh green onions onto a baked potato like I never threw anything away at all. Now, I regrow kitchen scraps all year long, but I started this particular glass in July on purpose because the very same green onion stubs that took me 2 full weeks to wake up back in March came roaring back in 4 days this week. That is not luck, and it is not a green thumb. July does one specific thing, mostly after the sun goes down, that no other month on the calendar does, and it is the single biggest reason the scraps that sulked on you before are going to take off right now. Stay with me all the way to the end, because when I explain what July does at night, you will understand why this month, this exact month, is the best free food window of the entire year. I'm Jake, though most folks around here know me as Backyard Buddy. 3 years ago, I was the guy who killed houseplants, including one cactus, which takes real commitment. Then, a handful of green onion ends I tossed at the trash can missed, landed in a glass of water on the counter, and sprouted 3 days later. Since then, I have regrown hundreds of plants from kitchen scraps on my apartment windowsills and balcony. My grocery bill has dropped by nearly a third, and my neighbor Gloria upstairs, a retired school teacher who has been growing on her balcony for 20 years, still teaches me something new every month. Before we start pulling scraps out of the compost bin, I want you to picture something. Picture everything your kitchen threw away this past week: the root ends off the green onions, the base of the romaine lettuce from taco night, the bottom 2 inches of the celery bunch, that woody stub of ginger that went wrinkly in the produce drawer. At my grocery store here in July, replacing all of that runs somewhere around $8 to $12, and most kitchens throw a version of that pile away every single week, 52 weeks a year. That is hundreds of dollars a year going into the trash can, not because anybody is careless, but because nobody ever told us those ends are still alive. And here's the part that matters most today. A lot of you have already tried this. You put a lettuce base in a bowl of water one October. It turned to brown mush in 5 days, and you decided you were the problem. You were never the problem. Your timing was. The exact same scrap that rots on a cold windowsill in October races ahead of the rot in July, and the reason why is that one thing July does after dark. I will get to it, I promise, because it is the part everybody gets wrong. First, let me show you what to grab and what to do with it, one scrap at a time. Now, every single method I'm about to walk you through comes straight out of a book I put together called The 30-Day Kitchen Scrap Garden Protocol: Zero Waste, Zero Experience, Free Food. It is the complete 30-day plan for turning the scraps your kitchen already throws away into growing food, and I wrote it for absolute beginners, folks with zero experience, 0 yard, and close to 0 budget, in the same friendly walk-you-through-it style I use right here on the channel. It covers 31 different crops you can regrow from scraps, each one with its own plain instructions, plus a $10 starter kit list you can gather mostly from things you already own. The full 30-day, day-by-day plan from your first glass of water to your first harvests, and honest troubleshooting for when a scrap decides to sulk on you. It is 172 pages, and it costs $17, marked down from $47. One time, $17 against a grocery bill that drops every single week after. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, buddy. Let's get your first glass going. Everything today starts with the same setup, so let me describe it once and describe it right. You need one clear drinking glass or a clear jar. You need plain tap water. You need one windowsill that gets good daylight, and in July, almost every window in America qualifies. That is the whole starting line. One glass of water on a windowsill. 2 rules govern everything that happens in that glass. Rule 1 is the water level. You want about 1 inch of water. That is 1 inch, not a full glass, because the top of the scrap needs to sit up in the open air, or it will rot instead of root. Rule 2 is fresh water. Change that water every 2 days. Every 2 days, tip the old water into a houseplant, rinse the glass, and pour in a fresh inch. Old water in July heat grows bacteria fast, and fresh water is the difference between roots and mush. 2 rules, 1 inch of water, changed every 2 days. If you can do that, I promise you can do everything else in this video. Scrap number 1 is the green onion, the plant that started this whole channel, and the closest thing to a guaranteed win in all of gardening. When you use green onions, do not cut off the root end and toss it. Cut your onions about 1 inch above the roots, so you keep a little white stub attached to that hairy root bottom. Stand those stubs root side down in your glass. Add your 1 inch of water. Set the glass on the windowsill. That is the entire method. In July, you will see new green growth in 2 to 3 days, and in about 10 days, you will have full-length green onions ready to snip with kitchen scissors. Here is the math I love. A bunch of green onions runs about $1.99 at my store. 1 bunch of stubs on a sunny July windowsill will regrow itself again and again for months, and if you pot the stubs up in soil later, which we will cover in a bit, they keep producing right through fall. My 1 glass has already paid for a month of coffee. That was garbage, and now it is groceries. Scrap number 2 is romaine lettuce, and this one feels like a magic trick the first time you see it. When you finish a head of romaine, keep the bottom of the head, the solid base, about 2 inches tall. Set that romaine base, cut side up in a shallow bowl or saucer. Give it about 1/2 inch of water, just enough to cover the very bottom. 1/2 inch, not a full soak, because a drowned base is a rotten base. Put the bowl in bright light on the windowsill. In July warmth, you will see tiny new lettuce leaves rising out of the center in about 3 days, and within 10 to 12 days, you will have a fresh little rosette of sweet inner leaves, perfect for a sandwich. Now, I will be straight with you, because I do not overpromise on this channel. A regrown romaine base gives you a nice handful of leaves, not a whole new head, unless you move it into soil and let it stretch out. But a handful of fresh lettuce from something you are about to throw away over and over off every head you buy all summer adds up fast on the receipt. Scrap number 3 is celery, romaine's big, slow cousin. Same idea, bigger payoff. Cut your celery bunch about 2 inches from the bottom and keep that whole base in one piece. Set the celery base cut side up in a shallow bowl. Add 1/2 inch of water, 1/2 inch, and change it every 2 days like always. Put it in your brightest window. Celery moves slower than lettuce, so give it about a week before the little yellow-green leaves in the center stand up and turn true green. Around day 10 to 14, you will see tiny new stalks forming, and that is your signal that this scrap is ready for a pot of soil, where it will grow into a producing celery plant on a balcony or a sunny step. Celery at my store has been running close to $3 a bunch this summer. The base you were throwing away is a $3 plant that keeps handing you fresh stalks and the best celery leaves for soup you have ever tasted. And remember, there is still that July nighttime piece coming, and celery is one of the scraps it helps the most. We are getting close. Scrap number 4 is basil, and this is the one Gloria taught me, so you know it works. This one starts from a stem instead of a base. Take a sprig of basil from the grocery store bunch, about 4 inches long. Look along the stem for the little bumps where leaves meet the stem. Those bumps are called nodes, and a node is simply the spot where a plant knows how to grow new parts, including roots. Pinch off the leaves from the bottom half of the stem. Stand the stem in your glass with about 2 inches of water covering those bare nodes. Set it on the windowsill out of the harshest afternoon blast. In July, white roots will appear off those nodes in 5 to 7 days. Back in winter, the same cutting took me close to 3 weeks, and half of them gave up before they got there. When the roots reach about 2 inches long, plant the cutting in a small pot of soil. One $3 bunch of basil from the store holds 5 or 6 good cuttings, and each cutting becomes a whole basil plant. That is a summer of fresh basil and a row of little jars on the windowsill that smells like an Italian kitchen while it happens. Scrap number 5 is carrot tops, and I include this one because I want to be straight with you about what it does and does not do. Cutting the top off a carrot and setting it in water will not regrow a new carrot. Anybody who tells you it will is selling something. What it grows, and grows fast, is a beautiful bunch of fresh carrot greens, which taste like a cross between parsley and carrot and cost real money at a farmer's market. Cut the top ½ inch off your carrots, the end with the little leaf stub. Set those carrot top discs cut side down in a shallow saucer. Add just enough water to touch their bottoms, about 1/4 inch. Put the saucer in bright light. In July, feathery green tops rise in 4 to 5 days, and inside 2 weeks, you have a saucer full of fresh greens for chopping over potatoes, stirring into soup, or blending into a green sauce for grilled chicken. It costs nothing, it looks pretty on the sill, and it turns a pile of carrot ends into one more thing you never have to buy. Small win. I celebrate every one of them. Scrap number 6 is ginger. And ginger is the reason I say do this right now in July instead of any other month. Ginger is a tropical plant. It wants heat, it wants humidity, and in American July is the one time of year the weather outside your window feels like home to it. Take a piece of fresh ginger from the store, one that has little pointed bumps on it. Those bumps are called eyes, and each eye is a sleeping sprout. Cut the ginger into chunks about 2 inches long, making sure every chunk has at least one eye. Let the cut pieces sit on the counter overnight so the cut ends dry and seal. The next day, fill a wide pot with regular potting mix. Lay each chunk on the soil with the eye pointing up. Cover it with about 1 inch of soil, 1 inch, no deeper. Water it gently and set the pot in a warm, bright spot on the balcony or by a window. In July heat, green shoots come up in 2 to 3 weeks. And by late fall, that pot holds a whole hand of fresh, homegrown ginger worth several dollars an ounce at the store. Start that same pot in October, and it will sit there and do absolutely nothing until it rots. July is ginger's green light. So now you have glasses and bowls working on the windowsill, and this is the point where most folks make the one mistake that ends the whole adventure. They fall in love with the glass of water, and they never leave it. Water is the starting line, not the finish line. Water wakes a scrap up, but water has no food in it. And a scrap can only run on its stored energy for a couple of weeks before it stalls, yellows, and quits. So when your green onions are a few inches tall, when your lettuce and celery show strong new centers, when your basil roots hit 2 inches, it is moving day. You do not need a yard for moving day. You need any container that holds at least a few quarts of soil and has drainage holes in the bottom. A bucket, a window box, an old cooking pot with holes drilled in it, a coffee can. Gloria grows tomatoes in 5-gallon buckets 2 floors up from me, and her balcony out produces some backyards. Fill your container with bagged potting mix, not dirt from outside, because potting mix drains well and comes without the bugs. Make a hole. Set your rooted scrap in so the roots are buried and the green is above the surface. Firm the soil gently around it and water until water runs out the bottom. Then, put it in your sunniest spot outside or right back on that windowsill. In July, transplants settle in almost overnight, and this is exactly when everything I have shown you goes from a fun trick to actual mountains of food. One regrown celery plant in soil hands you stalks for months. 6 green onion stubs in a window box become a permanent green onion patch. And here's where the word mountains stops being an exaggeration. None of this is a one-time trick, because your kitchen restocks your supplies every single week for free. This week, 6 green onion stubs and a romaine base. Next week, a celery base and a basil bunch worth of cuttings. The week after, a ginger pot and a saucer of carrot tops. Every grocery run hands you a new round of starters, and in July, every round takes. I started exactly this way 3 summers ago with 1 glass, and by Labor Day, my balcony held over 20 containers of growing food that had cost me almost nothing but water and a bag of potting mix. Gloria calls it the snowball, and July is the top of the hill. Start now, and by the time the leaves turn, you are not a person who regrew a scrap once. You are a person with a producing container garden that your own trash can plant it. Before we get to the big July secret, let me handle the 3 little troubles that stop beginners, because every one of them has a 30-second fix. Trouble number 1 is cloudy or slimy water. That just means the water sat too long in the July warmth. Pour it out, rinse the glass and rinse the scrap under the tap. Refill with a fresh inch of water and get back on the every 2 days schedule. Trouble number 2 is a scrap that simply sits there and does nothing. Give any scrap a full week before you judge it. If a week passes with no roots and no green, toss it in the compost and stand a new one in the glass. It cost you nothing, and the next one from the same bunch usually takes right off. Trouble number 3 is pale, stretched, leaning growth, like the plant is reaching for something. It is. That is a plant asking for more light, so move it to a brighter window, and it will straighten up and turn deep green within days. And one more note for July in particular, for everything you move outside into containers. July's sun dries a pot fast, much faster than the ground. So check your balcony containers every single morning by pushing a finger 1 inch into the soil. If that top inch is dry, water in the morning until it runs out the bottom of the pot. If it is still damp, leave it alone until tomorrow. 1 finger, 1 inch every morning. Do that, and July heat becomes your best employee instead of your biggest risk. You truly cannot mess this up in any way that cost you more than a scrap you were throwing out anyway. Now let me start paying off what I promised you, because July has 2 gifts for your scraps, and the first one happens in broad daylight. Gift number 1 is light. In July, most of the country gets 14 to 15 hours of daylight, the most generous stretch of the entire year. And a scrap on a July windowsill is soaking in nearly double the useful light it would get in December. More light means the new leaves up top can start making food for the plant sooner, which feeds the roots, which grow more leaves. Gift number 2 is the water itself. Roots grow fastest when the water they sit in holds around 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And a July kitchen keeps that little glass sitting right inside that sweet spot all day long without you lifting a finger. In March, that same inch of water on the windowsill runs cold, and cold water tells roots to slow down and wait. So daytime July is already doing half the work for you. But daylight is only half the story, and it is the half everybody already guesses. The real reason your scraps double their speed this month, the thing I have been holding since that first glass of green onions, happens after you have gone to bed. Here it is, the whole secret, plain as I can make it. Roots do a huge share of their growing at night. During the day, the plant is busy up top, working its leaves in the sunlight. After dark, the growing shifts downstairs to the roots, and root growth runs on temperature. When that little glass of water drops below about 60 degrees Fahrenheit, root growth slows to a crawl and very nearly stops. Now, think about what a windowsill does at night in April or in October. The window glass is the coldest spot in your whole home after dark, and a small glass of water sitting against it takes on the night temperature within an hour or 2. So in spring and fall, your scrap grows all day, then stalls out all night every night. It is only actually growing half of every day, and all the while the bacteria that cause rot do not take nights off. That is the race a kitchen scrap runs, roots against rot, and a scrap that keeps stopping overnight loses that race. That mushy October lettuce base was never your fault. It was benched half of every day. In July, the bench disappears. July nights across most of the country hold in the upper 60s and 70s. The windowsill never chills down. That inch of water stays in the root-growing zone around the clock, and your scrap grows 24 hours a day. Roots win the race before rot ever gets a foothold. 2 full weeks in March, 4 days in July, same green onion stubs, same glass, same windowsill. The only thing that changed was the nights. So tonight, before bed, put your hand flat against the window where your glass will sit. In July, it will feel mild, and that mild glass at midnight is the entire engine behind everything I showed you today. You have roughly 8 to 10 weeks of these warm nights left. Every glass you start inside that window grows on the fastest schedule nature offers all year. And if your kitchen runs cold at night because of air conditioning, there is an easy answer for that too. Just pull the glass 1 foot back from the window and away from the vent before bed and slide it back into the light in the morning, 1 foot back at night, back in the sun by day. That little 2-second shuffle keeps your water in the warm zone around the clock. A warm night and a patient hand. That is all any of this has ever needed, and that is the whole idea, 1 scrap at a time, started in the 1 month that runs the night shift for you. The book walks you through 31 of these crops, day by day for 30 days, starting with what is sitting in your kitchen tonight. $17, marked down from $47, and 1 regrown celery plant pays that back before summer is out. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So, quick recap before you go. 1 inch of water changed every 2 days, 5 scraps to start tonight. Move them to soil when the roots come in, and let those warm July nights run the night shift for you. If you start a glass of water tonight, come back in 3 days and tell me what you see in the comments. I read every single one. Next time, I'm going to show you what I do with a $3 bag of sprouting grocery store potatoes and 1 5-gallon bucket on my balcony, and why the ugliest, most wrinkled potato in that bag is the one that grows the most food. Don't throw it away, grow it. I'll see you next time, buddy.